Hello everybody! It's me, and this is my channel. And today we are going to be talking about the history of vehicles. But before we do that, now back to the history of vehicles. Now, if you were to ask someone in the year 1886 what a vehicle was, they would most likely show you something like this. They would tell you that a vehicle was any kind of carriage that was horse-drawn. After all, for thousands of years, people had been getting around on animal-powered carts. The wheel was invented roughly 3,500 years BCE, and then animal power was harnessed several thousand years after that, with the first evidence of a wheeled vehicle dating back to 1900 BCE with the invention of the chariot. Animal-powered carts were used all over the world. In China, they pulled cargo. In Rome, they transported goods and people. And in medieval Europe, horse-drawn carriages became a common sight on roads. In fact, it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that vehicles changed much at all. But then, in 1886, everything changed! On January 29, 1886, German inventor Karl Benz patented the first practical automobile, which led to the mass production of cars and eventually our current modern vehicles. But the automobile wasn't the only major advancement in vehicles during the late 1800s. People were also experimenting with powered flight. And in 1903, the Wright brothers proved that sustained heavier-than-air human flight was possible. And then, just a few months later, French inventor Henry Farman became the first person to successfully pilot an airplane with an internal combustion engine. The early 1900s saw huge advancements in transportation technology. In 1908, the Model T was introduced by Ford Motor Company, forever changing the automotive industry. It was not only the first mass-produced car, but it was also extremely affordable. The average price of a car at the time was around $3,500, but Ford sold his Model T for only $850. Because of this low price point, it didn't take long for the Model T to become one of the best-selling cars in history. More than 16 million were sold worldwide between 1908 and 1927. Aside from its affordability, the Model T was also one of the first cars with interchangeable parts, meaning that repairing the Model T was easier than ever before. This also meant that there was no real difference between a mechanic and a driver because anyone could make repairs. So drivers could fix their own cars if they broke down on the side of the road. For many people, the Model T was more than just a car. It represented freedom. It allowed people to explore new places and do things that had never been possible before. But it wasn't just cars that were advancing during this time period. Airplanes were also seeing some major improvements. In 1914, the first transatlantic flight took place, when two British pilots flew a bomber plane across the Atlantic Ocean in under 36 hours. During World War I, airplanes became one of the primary weapons of war. They were used for reconnaissance, bombing runs, and dogfights. The conflict showed that airplanes were not only possible, but that they were also practical. So after the war ended, many companies began working on commercial aircraft. And in 1927, the first commercial airline, known as IATA, was founded. This led to the mass adoption of air travel and the eventual creation of major airlines such as Pan Am and T. But aside from commercial airlines, private pilots also began taking to the skies. In 1929, the stock market crashed and the Great Depression began. This led to a decrease in manufacturing and a decrease in the amount of vehicles being produced. During the Depression, people couldn't afford new cars, so they held on to their old ones for as long as possible. This led to the automotive industry coming up with a solution to keep customers driving older models, which was the introduction of the automobile loan. Now people could borrow money to buy a car and then pay for it over time. This led to an increase in car ownership, and the automotive industry was saved. But soon after the Great Depression, World War II broke out, and this led to another decline in vehicle production. During the war, factories converted to producing military vehicles, and fewer cars were made. However, after the war ended, there was a surge in demand for cars. Soldiers were coming home, and they wanted to start families and drive around their new towns in brand new automobiles. Because of this, automakers went into overdrive and started pumping out new models left and right. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, Americans bought more cars than ever before. Popular models such as the Chevrolet Bel Air and the Ford Thunderbird became status symbols. But this era of prosperity did not last forever. In the mid-1970s, the United States experienced a gas crisis due to a conflict in the Middle East. This led to a sharp increase in the price of gasoline, and people began searching for alternatives. Suddenly, fuel efficiency became very important. Automakers were forced to redesign their vehicles to get better gas mileage. This led to the creation of smaller, more efficient cars such as the Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla. While these vehicles were not as flashy as their predecessors, they were much more practical in the long run. Today, we are experiencing yet another shift in the automotive industry. Electric vehicles are becoming more and more popular as people become more environmentally conscious. Companies such as Tesla have revolutionized the EV market and have proven that electric cars can be cool and desirable. With the introduction of self-driving technology, it is likely that we will see even more changes in the near future. Who knows? Maybe one day we will all be riding around in driverless pods. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe for more great videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.